Hi, good evening, everyone. It is a pleasant evening here in Dominica. Wherever you are in any part of the world, I hope you're having a wonderful one. Of course, in certain parts, it's either later or earlier, given your time zone. I want to say a special good evening to the Dominicans based in the United States of America. Marcel, Volney, I see you. Good evening. Julian Geese. Mr. Peter Carbon, Dominican Patriot. Good evening to you. Welcome to Contending for Dominica. This is the first show. We expect to have a number of shows in respect to issues here in Dominica. But I want to welcome the Holy Spirit to be part of this, to control, to guide, protect, and give us the wisdom. Of course, you may be asking, what is Joshua Francis up to this evening, and what will he be up to moving forward? Well, that you will learn as we progress here this evening. Hi, good evening, Julian Gussie, wherever you are. I hope you're having a good one. So, once again, welcome. I urge you to share this broadcast. Share it on your timeline so we get more followers as we proceed on a journey. It is going to become very interactive. This is just the first. I'm still learning this. I am hoping that as we progress with this, whether you call it talk show, Facebook show, whatever it is, that we'll be able to invite other persons to participate, to be part of this. Hopefully, as we go ahead, I will have guests, and we will be exploring several subjects here on our Facebook Live. The objective of this Facebook Live basically is to contend for Dominica. As you know, Dominica is pregnant with many issues. Those of us who desire change have been in the struggle for a number of years. The opportunity which is granted to us to generate national change in Dominica is the general elections, which is held every 5 years. Dominica has just come from 2019 general election. Unfortunately, we did not get the change that we desired, but that does not mean we must give up. We have a mission. Those of us who understand that Dominica can do better than where it is, those of us who understand that Dominica has a lot of potential to be the premier island in the Eastern Caribbean, we will stand for Dominica, we will contend for Dominica, we will not give up the struggle. And on that note, one of my favorite scriptures that is from the Holy Bible emanates from 2 Corinthians 4:5. 2 Corinthians 4:5 says, we are hard pressed on every side, but not crushed. Perplexed, but not in despair. Persecuted, but not abandoned. Struck down, but not destroyed. So that is what warriors go through. Sometimes you get struck down, sometimes you get perplexed, sometimes you get oppressed, but when you stand for something, you must not move away from it. We are not destroyed, and those of us who stand for Dominica will stand for Dominica until the last breath leaves our body. Good evening, Montex Baron. How are you doing? How is Canada doing? I hope all is well with you. I welcome you to our Facebook Live. Once again, I want to repeat the objective of this Facebook Live basically is to give us an opportunity to interact, to discuss several national issues here in Dominica. I expect to hear from you. You will be suggesting to me what are the topics you want to deal with, what are the issues that you want to tackle. Currently, we have a number of issues in Dominica, and we'll be exploring every one of them. We'll be going into the nook and cranny of Dominica. We'll be going into the grassroots areas from Scotshead up to Capuchin, from St. Joseph to La Plaine, because there are quite a number of issues, some of which may not get public scrutiny because Not every issue is sexy. Not every issue is at the fore as something very important. But as you go ahead and as you discover some of the national issues, I'm sure we will spend some time on them. Once again, I want to introduce myself. This is Joshua Francis, attorney at law, attached to Joshua Francis Chambers, which is located on 7 Cross Street, Roseau, in the Commonwealth of Dominica. As you know, I'm the former parliamentary representative for the Roseau South constituency, former deputy leader of the United Workers' Party, still a member of the United Workers' Party, an advocate for change. I'm an agent for change. I desire better Dominica, and I'm sure every one of you, irrespective of your political cloth, you desire better Dominica, because Dominica can be better, and Dominica will be better when we redeem Dominica from the current crutches of the Dominica Labour Party government. The first issue that I desire to deal with tonight really is to make a post-mortem of what happened in the 2019 general election. And I do not want to start our first Facebook Live with partisan politics per se, but as I stated, the fundamentals of a democracy is freedom of expression, freedom to exercise one's franchise, or the opportunity to decide who you want to govern your country. And when the electoral process of any democracy is compromised, then that is a fundamental problem. Hence the reason why electoral reform continues to be a burning issue in Dominica. And we will explore that. And as a participant, as somebody who was part of the process, I am properly positioned to inform what really happened and where we are going from here. I see we have Lofty Duran, who has joined us. I want to say a special good evening to Mr. Duran, one of our advocates, one of our warriors, one of our true patriots, a gentleman who has stood up and continued to stand for Dominica. And this evening I want to invoke the national pride and the national spirit which is embedded in every one of us. I know that many of you would love to be in Dominica as I speak, to make a contribution in one way or the other. You may not be here in person, and of course in some cases that is not by choice, because everybody is looking for greener pastures to take care of themselves and their families. So you may not be in Dominica physically, but you can join Loftus Duran, you can join Joshua Francis, Mr. Lennox Linton, amongst others who are standing for a better Dominica. So once again, I want to explore the electoral process in Dominica. This is the first issue that I want to deal with, because that has not gone away. This continues to be a pivotal and consequential issue in Dominica, because until and unless we correct the electoral flaws in this country, we will continue to be saddled by a government that will perpetuate dishonesty, which is never good for any society. Good evening, Judith Geese. Those of you who have just joined in, welcome to Contending for Dominica. This is a show which will be hosted by yours truly. Over time, we will have guests. I will invite other persons to participate in this discussion. It is an interactive discussion, so if you do have questions, if you have suggestions, you can post it right here in the comments box. You can also inbox me. You can make your suggestions before a Sunday showing, or you can do so after. So I hope you're doing well wherever you are. I pray that your family is doing well. Of course, we are very blessed here in Dominica in many respects. Those of you in the United States, you have just come from a general election yourself. Some of you all were pleased and some of you all were displeased. If you're in England, of course, just like North America, you're going through winter, you must be very cold. If you're in Africa, certain parts are very warm right now because, of course, it's winter in the north and summer in the south. So let us have a good time here this evening. I want to hear from you. I want to hear your comments. So back To our first issue that we were dealing with, the electoral process of 2019. As you know, I served as the deputy leader of the United Workers' Party entering the 2019 general elections. I was the candidate and incumbent member of parliament for the Rosasol constituency. I went into the election very confident. It never occurred to me that I would be uprooted at the general elections on December 6, 2019. But they say once you're in a race, there's a possibility that you can lose. And of course, that is what happened to me in the general elections of 2019. I noted that on Facebook, amongst other social media platforms, a number of supporters of the United Workers' Party felt that the United Workers' Party ought not to have participated in the general election of 2019 due to the absence of electoral reform. Of course, many of us can look back and say we should not have. Some felt that we did, but because of our own errors compounded with the irregularities and the cheating of the Dominica Labour Party, we fell short. I just want to remind you that had we not participated in the general election and the general election proceeded, then legally the Labour Party would have secured 21 constituencies in Dominica, and that would not give the United Workers' Party a voice in Parliament. The positive to a situation like that would be that it would give the opposition more political clout and more weight to argue that the Dominica Labour Party would be an illegitimate government because of the absence of electoral reform. But there are arguments for and against. We're not going to waste our time on what has happened. What we want to do is to learn from what has happened and to move on. So, as I said, I entered the race in 2019, very confident that we were going to win Rosa South. Rosa South has 19 polling stations. In 2014, I won, out of the 19, I won 16 polling stations. And I honestly thought that I was going to secure even more polling stations in 2019. But the election was held and Shosha Francis was one of the casualties. Since then, I have made a public announcement that I would take a break from the political arena for restorative purposes. As you know, I suffered in many different ways. I have no regrets. I entered the political arena with a sincere and genuine spirit to assist Dominicans. That has not left me. I continue to want a better Dominica. I continue to feel for the poor. I continue to feel for the marginalized. And I continue to believe that Dominica is not in the best place. I continue to believe that the Dominica Labour Party government is not the best for Dominica. If anything, history will judge the Dominica Labour Party government as a hopeless government. I hope that it will not be too late by the time the Dominica Labour Party leaves our office, because a number of damages are being committed by this Dominica Labour Party government. Hi, good evening, Veronica Pascal, Nelly, Felix, Nicholas, Alison, Boswa. I hope you all are doing well. So I'm going to continue what happened in the Rosasol constituency in 2019. Of course, that is within the general matrix of the national political situation. The United Workers' Party was confident entering the general election. We did have concerns about the absence of electoral reform because over the past few years, the Dominica Labour Party has been involved in quite a number of irregularities and electoral illegalities that has given them have given them an advantage. Of course, the OAS election report is out. We have looked at a number of other reports, and all of them are saying, well, the election in Dominica was free and fair. But we know better. I know what I saw with my eyes. Free and fair is relative. In certain respects, yes, it was free, and in certain respects, it was fair. But all of us who are sincere to ourselves know that there was a significant unfair advantage between the Dominican Labour Party government and the United Workers' Party government. I'm sorry, the United Workers' Party. And in the elections, in Rosasot as an example, my opponents expended significant dollars into the election. The Labour Party flooded Rosasot with monies, persons were given gifts, a number of young people were given NEP projects just before the election. A number of Lucians, St. Lucians, Guyanese, and Jamaicans who had come into Dominica post-Hurricane Maria to help repair our housing stock were registered by the Dominica Labour Party to support them. Of course, you know that Commonwealth citizens, having spent a year in Dominica, would be eligible or qualified to vote. That is one of the areas that we must consider as we proceed to reform our electoral system here in Dominica. So why did I lose the election? So let's go through them quickly. Why did Joshua Francis lose the election in Rosasot? Of course, why did the United Workers' Party lose the election? Well, I'm going to use my case as a scenario. In Rosasot, my opponent had an unfair competitive advantage as far as money, larger, a lot of monies. This is a subject for discussion. We just saw what happened in the United States of America. Those of you who are following politics throughout the world, you will know that in the more advanced democracies, that a political party has to account for the amount of campaign funds that it has. And in more advanced or the most advanced democracies, not only they must account for monies that they have, they must account for the source of monies that they have. In Dominica, we continue to be in campaign finance political darkness, in that political parties can raise monies and nobody dare ask them where that money came from, and they can have as much as they want. And that is one of the things that happened in Dominica over the past few elections. The Dominica Labour Party government has been able to generate millions of dollars for campaigning. And where is that money coming from? We don't know. We have reasons to believe that some of that monies would come from friends of the Dominica Labour Party, persons who secured authorizations to sell Dominica citizenship, give back to the government under the table. Of course, we will be discussing the CBI program sometime in the future because we want to examine that scheme that has raised quite a number of questions, monies which may not be able to be accounted for, and the contracts which absent transparency and accountability. So that is an area we'll explore in the future. But as I was saying, as far as 2019 is concerned, number one, for the reasons why we lost the election, the reason why I lost the election is because my opponent had much more money than yours truly. After all, when you enter an election campaign and you do not even have $20,000 to campaign, while your opponent has state resources, had the access to NEP, employ a few young people, make them think that they were going to be permanently employed, seduce them into supporting the Dominica Labour Party. So that was a strategy. Incumbency. The Dominica Labour Party government was able to use state resources to seduce persons in the Rosasot constituency, like everywhere else in Dominica, to support the Dominica Labour Party. So you have financial advantage of the Dominica Labour Party, you had incumbency, you had clientelism, whereby governments, the Dominica Labour Party government was able to use the government or the state resources to campaign, hence giving it an advantage in the political process here in Dominica. And it takes us to polling day. What happened on polling day? Well, my opponent had an advantage. They have money again. They were able to pay persons to get voters from nook and crannies of the constituency driven to the polling stations. You had people who were physically disabled picked up from their homes very early in the morning and found their way into the polling stations. Again, is who has the resources. Dominica has gotten to a point where a number of us are motivated solely by money, and the person who can give you the money is the person who you're going to vote for. In the past, I knew that persons voluntarily made themselves available to support a political party based on ideology. That has declined significantly because of the politicization of every area in Dominica, driven by dollars. And of course, with myopic thinking, some of us don't realize that a dollar is just short term. We look for immediate gratification. We are deceived. We go into the polling stations and we vote for a political party. So that is another reason why I lost the election. My opponents had access to state resources that I did not have. Think about it, you know, if a lady would be missing a galvanize to repair a house, I was not in a position to secure galvanize and building materials to fix many houses. I must admit though, during my tenure as a political leader in the Rosa South constituency, I was able to assist a number of persons to repair their homes, something I never went on national radio to talk about. But it is what it is. We're just looking at why we lost the election, and we're looking at it objectively. And of course, you are free to put in your comments. You are free to ask questions, because as I said, this is an interactive live, and the purpose or objective is basically to allow us to explore every area, every issue of national importance to bring that change. We may have lost the battle in 2019, but we're not going to lose the war, because integrity and honesty always prevail. Good evening, Venice Joseph. How are you doing? I hope all is well. I urge all of you on this Facebook Live to share the live so that we can get more participants, we can get more interaction, we can get more meaning in what we are doing. We are not done with our venture in rescuing Dominica. We will not allow the bandits, the dishonest people, to continue to rule forever. There will come a time when we must take our country back. Every rope has an end, and the political rope of the Dominica Labour Party government will come to an end. I can assure you that. We're invoking the Holy Spirit and all our ancestors to join us in our quest to deliver Dominica. Chris Buguno, I hope you're doing well, sir, wherever you are. Let us go back and zero on Rosa South as to why we lost the election. On polling day, so we have looked at a number of reasons. We are going to talk about polling day. What happened on polling day? Well, on polling day, again, the Dominica Labour Party had an advantage. They had monies to not just give people rentals to transport their supporters, but they were able to actually pay people on polling day to seduce them to vote for them. Now, of course, when you get money, you are not followed by the person who gives you the money to go into the polling station, but it's just human nature, and Dominicans tend to be very grateful when they obtain a gift. So on polling day, some persons were actually given monies to support my opponents, and that helped influence quite a number of people to support her. I see here Taiwo Williams, good evening. You're saying, great review of the 2019 election. Let me ask you, why wasn't social media utilized on that day? So much could have been achieved with Facebook Live from the different constituencies. Taiwo, on polling day, you know, usually you get so busy. Your head is hot, you're trying to get your logistics in place, you're trying to get supporters to go and vote. Of course, a number of persons were already discouraged because, as you know, the United Workers' Party, and to some extent myself, we confuse some of our supporters by telling them no electoral reform and therefore no election. Some people took it that in the absence of electoral reform that they would not vote, and therefore to some extent we had difficulties getting all our supporters and independents to go to the polling stations. unlike the Dominican Labour Party, who was able to get their people. They mobilized better than us. I believe that my mobilization team was not as excellent as my opponents, and as such, that is one of the reasons, or that is one of the contributing reasons why I lost the election in 2019. Of course, that is from my standpoint, and I want to be sincere by acknowledging that yours truly had a number of personal factors which contributed to my demise, my political demise in Rosa South in 2019. We need not go back and explore my personal issues, but my personal factors would have contributed to the loss. Clearville Mills, who are the bandits and dishonest people? Good evening, Clearville Mills. You know very well who are the bandits and dishonest people. You know who are the people involved in dishonesty. I don't need a court of law to tell me what is dishonesty. And though a number of election petitions of the United Workers' Party were thrown out in an interlocutory application by the lawyers representing the Dominican Labour Party, I know for sure that I did see irregularities and I did witness dishonesties on polling day. And we continue to have a number of dishonest people in government. We do not have saints in government, sir. We do have dishonest people. There are still questions about the lack of transparency and accountability in certain facets of the CBI program scheme. As I said, that is an issue that will be explored sometime in the future. All right. Other reasons why I lost the general election, of course, I was not running alone. I was part of a team. And some people believe that some of the activities which the United Workers' Party partook in a few days before the general election may have dented our chances to win the general election. Well, what are some of the activities? Some people are of the view that the protests that we held in Marigot and in Salisbury may have discouraged independent voters or independents to support the United Workers' Party. Some people also think that the Al Jazeera report, where the political leader, our beloved political leader of the United Workers' Party, found himself in what appeared to be an indiscretion, may have affected our chances at the polls. Of course, those may be or may not, but in Rosa South, like every other constituency, the disadvantages which the United Workers' Party encountered, I would have encountered them as well. When all is said and done, we lost the election by about 254 votes in Rosa South. Rosa South had the highest voters turnout in the entire country. I got just over 1,900 votes, 1,982 votes. Let me just say good evening to all of those who supported me. Some of you may be here on the Facebook Live. I want to thank you for your support. I want to thank you for your prayers, and I urge you to continue to support the opposition. You stand for something. You are people of integrity. Do not compromise your integrity. Continue to stand for what you believe. Though the United Workers' Party has lost 4 consecutive elections, well, actually 5 consecutive elections, do not be discouraged. Do not be discouraged. The time will come when the opposition party, the United Workers' Party in Dominica, will triumph. Montex, I see what happened in 2019 election in Dominica was not right on many ends, while some would not agree. Well, a number of things did go right, and a number of things did go wrong. And more went wrong for the United Workers' Party than right. And when you have an incumbent spending millions and millions of dollars in a general election campaign, and the opposition has a meager tens of thousands, you know, persons who are vulnerable, as the case would be for many Dominicans, you know, persons are income poor, and therefore when they get a little 10,000 here and there, when their children get a little scholarship to go and study, they tend to think that it is the Labour Party which helps them, and therefore they express gratitude through their votes when they go into the polling stations. So all of us have a responsibility to educate our fellow brothers and sisters that scholarships given to our children does not come from the Labour Party. It actually comes from the government of Dominica. The Labour Party is not the first government, and it will not be the last government in Dominica to provide scholarships for our children to go to university. But as I said, let me just take note of Marcelin Giroux. Mill, stop helping the Freemason PM. Is a real big thief, and you know so. What is your F problem? Well, Marcelino, we are aware that there are quite a few enablers of dishonesty in Dominica. A number of persons who proclaim to be children of God refuse to remove the political mud from their eyes. They pretend that they're not seeing the injustices, they're not seeing the iniquities, they're not seeing the wrongdoings. They continue to proclaim that the Prime Minister of Dominica was sent by God to do God's work. And the Prime Minister himself very often manifests himself as a prophet, in that he says that God sent him to feed the poor. But as I said, time will tell. Time will tell. Time will tell. We will see who were honest and who were dishonest. Because whatever we do is going to come right back. In Buddhism, we talk of karma. In Christianity, we talk about what you sow, so shall you reap. And believe me, there will come a time when those who continue to financially rape Dominica will pay for their iniquities. Because it is not right that from since 2000 that there are very few Dominicans who are able to enjoy the millions, while most of us have to struggle. You know, because we have sold quite a number of citizenships, and a lot of money have been generated. And in the process, a few Dominicans have been able to become very wealthy. And most Dominicans continue to struggle financially. And as I said earlier, as far as political campaign funds are concerned, one of the sources for the funding of the Dominica Labour Party would be through the CBI program. There are a number of agents who benefit, and they take care of their boys in government. We're aware of that. So all in all, people, the United Workers' Party lost the general election, but we did not lose our spirit. We did not lose our integrity. We did not lose our fight. We did not lose our energy. Of course, some of us were injured. Some of us were hurt. A number of you cried. A number of you were dejected. But since then, time has healed you, and you're back on the forefront. And I encourage you to be back and to continue to stand for Dominica, continue to contend for Dominica, because the time is coming, and it may be nearer than we think. You know, we live in a very unpredictable world. No one knows for sure what will happen tomorrow. No one knows for sure when there will be a great fall of those who are leading this country. If those at the top are sincere and they are anointed by God, we will see. If they are driven by greed, as most of us think, we will also see what will happen. All right? Ronnie, Roy, Matthew, good evening, sir. I hope you're doing well. I hope St. Martin is doing well. Judith Gis, can you unpin the statement Mills has pinned on your live? Judith, I sympathize with Clevin Mills. Clevin Mills, of course, has an individual agenda. I do not know what it is for sure. I am not going to speculate, but I'm of the view that if Clevin Mills really loved Dominica and he loved his fellow brothers and sisters, he would not be out there, whether it's on Facebook or anywhere, in any part of Dominica, championing the cause of a government that has had a lack of vision, a government which has obtained the most funding in the history of Dominica, and yet the inequality in wealth distribution has been the widest. A government that has basically crippled entrepreneurship, that has affected individual growth and development, a government that has widened social nets, increased dependency, a government that has wasted a lot of funds. I mean, when you look at Dominica relative to our neighbors, we are still backward in many ways. We celebrate the good things that we have, and the best things about Dominica are things which the Dominica Labour Party has had no influence on. The water, which it in fact is being threatened by poor management of our water resources. Another issue that we were dealing with. All right, but we know for sure that the change needs to come. We know for sure that we will not back down. Those of us who stand against this incompetent government, those of us who stand against dishonest leadership in Dominica, those of us who stand for a better Dominica, we're not going to back down. We're going to continue to contend for Dominica. We're going to continue to do what is best for Dominica. All right, Judith Gist, we are not giving up hope. As long as we have breath running through our bodies, we are going to continue to stand for a better Dominica. Of course, I don't intend to spend the entire night with you. This evening, we will probably do an hour to 90 minutes. And over time, we're going to improve this Facebook Live. I had to look for somewhere in my house where the lighting was decent. I have to work on my lighting, my background, the facility to invite other persons to be part of this Facebook Live. We will improve the Facebook Live. We will use this platform to contend for Dominica, and we will use this platform to inspire our fellow brothers and sisters who desire change in Dominica. The change will come. I can assure you that. I may have assured you that we would have won the general election in 2019. That did not happen. And but what I can assure you is that the Dominica Labour Party will not be in government forever. This is not going to happen. No one knows for sure when the change will come, but it must come. It may be before the next constitutionally due general election in Dominica, which should be in 2025. It may be after, it may be in 2025, but it shall come. It must come. Okay, Mr. Clevin Mills? And many Dominicans who are part and parcel of a government, the government, which has been involved in political iniquities and political wrongdoings, will pay the price. I can assure you that we'll pay the price. But of course, our concern right now is to continue to stand for the voiceless, the marginalized, and the poor. Hi, Peter Thomas. How are you? Good evening. No voice, Joshua. Seems to be wrong. Can you hear me? Can you all hear me? It seems that some people are not hearing. I'm not too sure. Can you hear me? Because apart from Peter, nobody else has brought it to my attention. All right. So, fellow Dominicans, please do not be discouraged. This is our first show on Facebook Live every Sunday from 8 p.m. We will come together, we will interact, and we will explore issues of national importance. There are quite a number of burning issues in Dominica. We have to make an analysis of the government handling of COVID. We want to narrow our focus on the situation in Portsmouth. I'm hearing quite a number of people expressing concerns about the cost of quarantine. You know, you have relatives, you have families and friends coming from different parts of the world to come to Dominica, and they go for a quarantine process whereby they have to pay for their rooms, they have to pay for meals, and some people are finding this to be very hard, very difficult, and I want to hear your views on that. So that's one of the issues. I want to hear your views on the issue of the economy, whether this government has handled the economic situation in Dominica. We want to discuss that. I want to hear your views on whether this government is really going to build an international airport over the next few years, or whether this is just a political gimmick, whether this is just a facade, whether this is just laying down the foundation and hoping that divine intervention delivers the money required to build the international airport. We will discuss that. Of course, no government is going to expend the kind of money which is being expended in a facade, so I'm not going to conclude that it is not real. However, all reasonable Dominicans are questioning the sincerity of this government as far as the construction of the international airport is concerned. So that is another issue that we have to discuss. We have environmental issues to discuss in terms of whether this government has managed Dominica's environment properly, especially in view of protection of our rivers, protection of our soils. So that is an issue that we have to discuss. I also want to look at sports. What is the situation in Dominica? Of course, COVID has suppressed our abilities to go on our playing fields and to interact the usual way that we would want. But we do have to question the government as far as handling and management of our sporting facilities, namely our football fields, our basketball courts, etc. We also want to discuss what is the situation of the government as far as scholarships are concerned. We have quite a number of Dominicans abroad studying, and we are getting complaints that the government has not been paying their tuition. I personally am aware of a couple of young people who have had to return to Dominica because payments for their tuition from the government to Dominica was not forthcoming. So that is an issue that has to be discussed. It is very important. We also have to discuss the issue of the CBI. You know, I think we're going to spend quite a lot of time on the Citizenship by Investment Program. Now, the reason why I want us to discuss it is because I think that the average Dominican hasn't really understood the CBI. So we're going to spend some time on that. And I think you would appreciate why the Honorable Lennox Linton has been spending an eye on this issue. The reason why he has been exploring, discussing, analyzing, and drawing certain conclusions, making certain inferences, and pointing to us that something about the CBI program is not right. Of course, we also have to discuss the CBI from an economic point of view. This country has basically been exporting citizenships and education, brain drain, and selling off our birthrights for a penny. What are the consequences? Are we really benefiting from this? Has this really pushed Dominica? Is this sustainable? Are we ever going to diversify Dominica's economy? Some of the questions that we'll be discussing. So I want you to pose your questions. Tonight is just an introduction. We looked at why I lost the general election in Rosasol 2019. I gave you some of the reasons. You are free to comment, of course, those of you who were in the Rosasol constituency or who continues to be in the Rosasol constituency and you experience the politics of 2019, then you can tell me what you think. Of course, I give you my perspective. You have your perspective, and I would be more than happy to take note of it. All right. So I'm waiting for your questions and I'm waiting for your comments. We are smiling in the storm. Of course, we have life, and we want to thank God for that. A number of us here have been affected by COVID in one way or the other. Some of us may have lost even loved ones and friends. And of course, if there's anyone on this Facebook Live who lost a friend or relative due to COVID or due to any other ailment, my sincere sympathy, and I urge you to be strong and be of good courage. We are in this together. Unity is strength. When we come together, we are stronger. And though we may be in different parts of the world, but we continue to be Dominicans. We continue to be brothers and sisters. And I know that you love your country. Many of you all want to return to Dominica, but the economic situation is not encouraging. And therefore, you are out there working hard, hoping that one day you'll be able to buy a house in Dominica or build a house and come back here to retire. But of course, there are other factors that you have to take into consideration. Medical factors, as the improvement of the Princess Margaret Hospital, development into the Chinese-friendly Dominica Hospital caused an improvement in the health situation in Dominica. Another subject for discussion. I'm not hearing from you. I do not know whether you're hearing me. I'm still getting used to this Facebook Live on Chrome. You know, that's the first time I'm using this after a very long time. I think I'm still live. Can somebody indicate to me whether I'm being heard, whether you're still here? I am not too sure. All right. Hi, Judith. Can you hear me? Can you tell me whether I'm still on? Because I'm not hearing from you. All right. Where's everybody? Kathy, how are you? Where's everybody? All right. I'm not too sure where you are. All right. As you know, I am always willing to answer questions. I'm always willing to tackle any issue. I know that I have been honest with you. I have done my utmost to stand for integrity. I have not compromised that, and I will not compromise that. I am here as a servant, though I am not actively involved in the politics right now, but I'm still here making my contribution in one way or the other. And on that note, a group of us have decided to put a party together for the less fortunate children, a Christmas party. As you know, some children are marginalized. Their parents don't have the income, especially now with this COVID situation. And we do not want Christmas to come and go and they don't get a toy. So if you're in a position to give a toy, give a toy. If you're in a position to give some financial gift, give that. If you're in a position to clean somebody's yard for Christmas, do that. Whatever you can give, a prayer, time with somebody, an elderly person, do that. Make somebody smile. Make somebody's life better. All right? It is not always money. It is whatever you can contribute. All right, so I'm going to wrap this up. I'm going to say good evening to you until next time. I'm just checking here. I got quite a number of messages. I want to urge you to share this link. Share this. All right. Share it on your timeline. Let Dominicans, let our fellow brothers and sisters be aware that Joshua Francis contends for Dominica, and all of us together contend for Dominica. We want a better country. We can have a better country. It starts with us, it ends with us. The power is within us. We can make it happen. This photo, this and photo that must come to an end. It is Nelson Mandela who said that education is the greatest weapon that a man can possess. And he may be right. He may be right as far as secular development is concerned. Education is power. And as you get more educated, you come to understand that though you may support a political party based on ideology, based on philosophy, that you cannot always support the players in the political party because players do not always adhere or conform to the political party's ideology. So in Dominica, as an example, the Dominica Labour Party does have good ideologies, but we have come to realize that the players, the actors for the Dominican Labour Party have moved away from the traditional principles of the party. And we know that church traditional principles were based on selflessness, helping the poor and marginalized, being honest with each other. What does it worth a country to get a stadium, to get a few roads, to build an international airport, and its spirit is rotten, its national spirit is decayed? What does it worth a country? And that is one of the problems we have in Dominica. We have seen some infrastructural development still lagging behind our neighbors, but the spirit of the country is broken. We have come to accept right as wrong. So we need to reconfigure our thinking in this country. We need to make it right again. All right? We need to make Dominica bright again. We need to smile again. All right, so my fellow brothers and sisters, we are taking this to an end. I'm not hearing from you. Again, I'm not even sure whether you are here with me. Some of you may be on but paying attention to something else. Some of you may not be hearing me. Some of you may not want to type. I have not gotten a comment in some time. I am not too sure what is the problem, if there is any problem. I have been asking you to tell me something. Let me know whether you are here. Let me know whether you can hear me. Let me know whether you are still contending for Dominica. All right. So I see it's 9 o'clock. Our hour has been taken up. If you are hearing me, I want to thank you for joining me here this evening on Contending for Dominica. Remember, every Sunday from 8 p.m., Joshua Francis, attorney at law, will join you to contend for Dominica. We are contending for a better country. We are standing for a better Dominica. We are standing for the poor, the weak, the marginalized. We are standing for our brothers and sisters in every part of the country. Whether you're from Scottshead, whether you're from Granby, whether you're from Portsmouth, whether you're from the Kalinago territory, we are going to contend for you. We're going to make you smile. We're going to make you happy. We're going to make Dominica a better place. All right, just checking on my phone. I've been getting quite a number of messages. I've just been informed that I can be heard. I suppose that you are just being very quiet. Yes, I suppose that you are just being very calm. All right. Let me just tell you, do not be too calm. All right, do not be too calm, because unless those of us who know and believe that Dominica has to be rescued stand up, then those in government will continue to win election after elections. So I want you to stand up. I want you to be happy. I want you to gracefully stand up for your country. All right? So once again, I want to thank you. This is Joshua Francis, your former parliamentary representative of the Roseau South constituency, former deputy leader of the United Workers' Party, attorney at law. His office is on 7 Cross Street, Roseau, and advocate for a better Dominica. We're going to do this together. We're going to love each other. We're going to care for each other. We're going to understand each other. We're going to build bonds. We are going to build our relationships. We're going to make new friends. We're going to build new bridges. We're going to build new alliances. We're going to build teamwork. We are going to fortify our drive, our spirit, our determination. We're going to enrich our spirit together. We're going to make the opposition force in Dominica more powerful, and we're going to get our country back. All right, I'm getting a few messages here on my phone. I think some people are contacting me via WhatsApp. I just want to just check them out there. Yes. All right, so we are on our way, contending for Dominica. We have spent an hour together, and it was quite an enjoyable hour. Of course, I dominated. You had very little to say. But although I prefer to give than to receive, in talking versus listening, I sometimes or most times prefer to listen. But tonight you allowed me to do all the talking, and you can get away with that. Hopefully on the next occasion you will have more to say, and I will have more to listen to. And however you want it, it's our show, contending for Dominica. So a number of you are still online. I want to thank you. I want you to continue to stand. Peter Thomas, Judith Geese, Ronnie, Peter Carbon, Venice. I just want to thank you. Remember to share this Facebook Live. And remember, next Sunday, same time, from 8 p.m., we are going to come back together, and we are going to contend for Dominica. We are not allowing the enemies of integrity and honesty to steal our country and to sit on the throne of Dominica for too long. All right, the time is coming. We are taking our country back. All right, we are not allowing anyone to steal Dominica from us. Not the Chinese, not politicians. We want our country back. All right, so once again, I want to thank you. God bless you, God keep you, and God protect you. Until next Sunday, we are contending for Dominica. Next Sunday, 8 p.m., remember to tell your friends, tell your loved ones to join Joshua Francis for contending for Dominica. 8 p.m. on Sunday, every Sunday, as long as we have breath, we'll come together. I love you. Have a great Sunday and a great week. May the good Lord continue to look over us. We are not allowing them to take Dominica from us. Have a good evening. Bye.